Welcome back to the discussion on design of composite truss. This is only a continuation of the earlier discussion. In this discussion, I'm going to explain the design principles behind the design of composite truss in composite stage. In the composite stage, we have to calculate what will be the design effect. To estimate the design effect, we have to identify the possible loads on the composite stage. So first we'll identify all the loads to be expected in the composite stage. We know that there is a weight of the composite slab, truss, and in addition to that, in the composite stage, we should go for some floor finish or ceiling finishes or services to be added. So approximately this to be taken here as 1 kilonewton per meter squared. This is only an assumption. If you know the purpose of the building and the client need, you can have an accurate value on this. Then you ask the based upon the problem, we know what will be the live load is expected on the composite truss. So after taking all the loads, I'll take the total factored load. Here I factorize it all the load. I know the suitable partial safety factor for dead load and live load. So I'll after factorizing all the loads, I get the total load. Then I convert the total load into UDL. Then for the UDL, I calculate the effects, design effect on the composite truss in the composite stage. This is nothing but WL squared by 8 because the composite truss is simply supported and this is your shear force. And among the two, the moment is predominant. So we are going to design the cross section for the composite stage. So this is the trial cross section I am going to adopt for this composite stage. So here this is the concrete slab part, that is concrete portion, decking sheet portion, and this is a top chord member, bottom chord member, this is a web member. So already I have the value of the depth of the slab, profile decking sheet. During the pre-composite stage, we have also designed what will be the depth of the composite truss, steel truss. That is a CG of the top chord to bottom chord is also known, and also you know what is the CG distance of top chord member as well as bottom chord member. Are considering these dimensions, so this is said to be a trial dimension. Taking these dimensions, I'll take all the dimensions which are already defined in the pre-composite stage because we know what is the top chord member. I'm going to have the same as a bottom chord member. Problem also defines what will be the concrete slab part. Taking that into consideration, I go for the calculation of moment capacity. To get the moment capacity, I should calculate the position of neutral axis under the given load. Before going for the neutral axis, I should calculate what will be the effective breadth of the concrete part, this slab part. I should know what will be this distance, that is B effective of my truss. So as per the EC4, we know that we calculate the effective length if it is simply supported by taking 1/4 of the span or the center to center distance between the trusses. So when I'm taking 1/4 of the span, it comes as 3 meters. When I'm comparing with the center to center distance between the trusses, it is 2.5. Therefore, I should not go beyond this value. Therefore, I'll take the smallest of the value as the B effective. Taking this as B effective, I'm going for the calculation of the neutral axis, taking the compressive force because I consider the neutral axis is within the slab part. Therefore, the compressive force will be this one and the tensile force will be this. So this is the case. So compressive force and this is a tensile force. I'm going to have an equilibrium between the two. So by this I'm calculating what is the neutral axis. As I have told, I have adopted same area of cross section both top chord as well as bottom chord. By this expression, I have found out what will be the location of my neutral axis. It was found that it is within the decking sheet. That is according to the stress block. It was found that this is the depth of the slab. So this is the concrete. So my XPL is within the concrete region. Therefore, my assumption is correct. So based upon this assumption, I'm going for calculation of moment capacity. So this the derivation of this plastic resistance expression I have discussed in my earlier videos. Substituting the values in this expression, I got that the capacity on the by the cross section is 668.05 kilonewton meter. This is this much amount of moment that can be taken by your trial cross section, and it is checked with the what is the moment in the pre-composite. That is, we have already calculated the effects on the thing. The effect will be 527 odd, and the capacity is found to be 600 odd. So therefore the capacity is larger than the moment exactly coming on the section. Therefore the cross section arrangement is safe to take the composite moment. But since you have to check the adequacy of bottom chord, because we have adopted the size of the top chord as the bottom chord. Therefore you are going to check the adequacy of the bottom chord by considering this is the cross section dimension. So for equilibrium, to maintain equilibrium, you are establishing this expression. Before that, I should say that the top chord, I have provided some cross section area. Both are under tension. So please see here, under this assumption, your top chord as well as bottom chord is under tension. So here I already defined the size of the top chord, from which I calculate what is the capacity of my top chord, because I am assuming that yielding capacity under tension, area and stress, I am got the capacity of your top chord. Taking this as the consideration, now I am saying that establishing the equilibrium condition, what I am taking moment about this point. So I am saying that my moment in the composite stage is equal to C. That is equal to, I am taking moment of these forces, I will get your resistance offered by the tension region of your truss. So with this, I know what is the size of the top chord, from which I am going to obtain what is the force exactly expected at the bottom chord. So with this principle, I am equating the moment expression produced by the two tension, and that is equal to the moment which is expected in the composite stage, from which I am calculating what is the force is expected on the bottom chord. It comes about 560. Because this 560 again is tension, therefore I am going to check the same cross section whether it is able to take this 560 kilonewton, and I am checking with the tension capacity according to IS 800. The tension has to be checked under three criteria. One is yielding of cross section, rupture at critical cross section, and block shear failure. I have to do three checks. So the first check is nothing but yielding of cross section. I am taking the yielding capacity as 670. Your force is expected this, but your capacity is larger. But according to IS 800, the tension capacity is smallest of the three criteria. So I am calculating the capacity in cross section, rupture at critical cross section. Since it's the angle, I am taking this expression. Here is angles are connected at one leg. It is affected by the shear lag effect. So to calculate the shear lag effect, I have to know what will be the size of the connection. So for that, I'm going for designing the connection. So in this connection, I'm considering my cross section will be two angles are placed back to back. This should be connected to a gusset plate. So I'll explain that connection here. See here, there is a two angle. This is a gusset plate. That means so here this is one angle, this is one angle, this is another angle. So here I am considering a gusset plate in between, a gusset plate in between, which will facilitate to connect the two angle as well as the web members. So here I am doing a welding at the top here, because I have to place the decking sheet at the top. So I cannot project my weld beyond that. This is the weld at the top, as well as I should weld it here as well as here. So what I will do is I'll take this connection. Here I did it in an approximate manner. Actually what you have to do is, see here, since my load of resultant force will pass through the CG of the angle, then your load is expected at this particular point. Therefore, your well line will not equally distributed, or otherwise I'll explain in the other way. This is my gusset plate, this is my gusset plate, and this is my angle. This is my angle. See here, one angle on the front of the gusset plate, another angle on the back of the gusset plate. So here this is my force line. This is the CG of my angle. CG, it is not center of the leg, it is CG. Here your weld should be here, and your another weld will be like this. So here your weld force should be taken like this. Please refer your design of steel structure course, where you will get this length may not be equal because your force is not passing through the CG of the angle connected. So therefore here you have a different length. So for this problem I'll take 1/3 of the total length to be considered as a connection length. But if you do it in the reality, you have to exactly calculate the actual length of the weld, then you substitute in the beta value. So in the connection, I consider this is welded connection, therefore I calculate strength of the weld per unit run. Then after knowing that, I found that if I am taking 1/3 of the total length as your distance, so I'm taking I'm round offing, the value will be 155. That what I'm mentioning here is the length of the weld considered to connect this angle to the gusset plate is 155. So taking that as your connection length, and this is your outstand length. Here in this case, since it is welded, your outstand as well as the shear outstands are width of the outstand as well as the length of the outstand, or both are same here. Please refer IS 800 for welded connection. So substituting the required values here, you can able to calculate beta. Beta is coming as 1.232, and it was also observed that the maximum value will be this, minimum will be this. If it is in between, take the calculated value. So if I am taking the calculated value, I got the capacity at a rupture. Rupture capacity is larger than your yielding capacity. So similarly, you do it for block shear. Mainly in welded connection, block shear capacity is also larger. Therefore, the capacity of the connection is decided by the yielding capacity. Therefore, the capacity under tension is 750. What is the force expected is 560 and all. Therefore, in the section is able to take the required tension as it is suitable to be adopted as a top as well as bottom chord member. Coming to the design of web member, here you have to do the analysis of the trusses by which you calculate the web member forces and do suitable design. If your web member is compression, design is a compression member. If it is a tension member, and design is a tension member. So if your member design is over, now the steel truss is safe to take the load. Then coming to the next limit state, that is a horizontal shear check. So which will lead to the design of shear connector. Here in this problem, I am assuming 20 mm dia strut, 100 mm length embedded in M30 concrete. This is the table I have referred to get the capacity of the headed strut connector. This is a table I have taken from IS 11384. So I know what is the capacity of one strut connector if it is welded in M30 concrete. So I took 20 mm diameter, height is 100 mm, by which I know what is my capacity of the strut. Then what is the horizontal shear is expected at the interface base? Nothing but this is the value, which is equal to 1500. Taking that as value, I calculate if this is my total shear and it is divided by capacity of one strut, I get number of strut required. So I am rounding off this value to 25. Then I have to provide this number of struts between the support to the midpoint, that is the maximum shear region. Therefore, I take the half of the length of the composite truss, that is your half of 12 meter will be the total length of the truss. I take 6 meters divided by the number of struts. So I got the spacing. Since I am using two angles or at a distance apart, so I have to place a strut here as well as stud here. Therefore, I am placing the stud in 2 rows. Therefore, the spacing becomes at 480 mm. Here, I am deciding to provide a 20 mm diameter headed stud of height 100 mm in 2 rows at a spacing of 450 mm to satisfy the horizontal shear criteria. Coming to the serviceability criteria, here in the serviceability, the main criteria we are going to check it here is deflection. So I'm going to check the service criteria both in the pre-composite stage as well as in the post-composite stage. In the pre-composite stage, I have only the stuff steel truss alone. So I'll take elastic weight. That means without considering partial safety factor. So I'll take the total intensity without partial safety factor. I'm converting into UDL. Then I know that how to calculate the inertia, moment of inertia of the steel truss, from which I calculate what is the deflection. It was found that the deflection is 25. So the limiting values, say L by 300, so it is 40. Your deflection will be less than that, therefore it is safe in pre-composite stage. The same way you have to also calculate the deflection check in the composite stage. In the composite stage, as per the EC 4 as well as your Indian Standard Code, your modular ratio will be different for dead load as well as live load. Therefore, in the composite stage, you calculate the deflection due to dead load separately, considering the modular ratio as 30 and 15 for live load. The purpose of using this modular ratio is nothing but transforming your concrete into equivalent steel. So in the composite stage, under the dead load, I calculate the elastic dead load. So I take the self-weight of the slab, truss and floor finish to be taken as the dead load. I convert it into UDL. Then I know what will be the value of AC, the area of the concrete. This is the area of the bottom chord member, and this is the area here. The top chord member is not taken so effectively. I take the concrete area will be effective. So I convert it into equivalent steel, and I'm calculating the center to center distance between the top chord and bottom chord, where I'm using the modular ratio will be 30. So this is your inertia. I'm substituting here. I got the deflection due to dead load. Similarly, live load, I know the live load present in the system and I convert that load to UDL. Then similarly, I follow the same procedure where I took the modular ratio as 15 because of live load. I calculate the deflection. Then I add the deflection due to dead load as well as live load, and I add together, and I am checking with the limiting value, where the limiting value is said to be 40 mm. My deflection will be less than that. Therefore, the truss is satisfying the serviceability condition, by which the composite truss was found to be safe in both the pre-composite stage as well as post-composite stage. Thank you.